we have been talking about some of the skills we need to actually build the business. And this morning, we're going to go through that skill right there of how to pass on this information to a prospect. It has been seen, and what has been appreciated is that every time you have a prospect, if you can meet your prospect in that format where you have someone more experienced than you sharing the opportunity, and then you as a distributor, you have invited your prospect, that kind of three arrangement makes life a lot easier than when you're two in the other circumstance. So it is very important that we learn how to find ourselves in that kind of setup. And usually when you've gone through your list of names, you've contacted the individual, at the point of contacting the person, sometimes it's good to just mention to them that you'll be coming with a business colleague or an associate or a partner or a friend with whom you'll explain the business with, or with whom you will be able to provide a solution to their challenge, so that they are aware that actually someone is going to come along. That's very important. So one of the things that has really created some very good mileage in the business is that setup where you have a prospect, and I think this was some time back. That gentleman in black was the prospect. The gentleman in blue was the one who had invited the gentleman in black, and I was on the right. Yes, I was the one that was going to present to the prospect, and it's just a phenomenal approach to getting people to appreciate the business. And I'll just tell you why. Because the person in the middle, who is the distributor, represents the trust and credibility. There's a relationship that already exists between the distributor and the distributor's prospect. There's a relationship that exists. And that relationship that exists between the distributor and the distributor's prospect is a key relationship. It is what gives us the trust and credibility in our presentation. For people to appreciate what we have and to be able to accept the information we're giving them, there must be some trust between the prospect and the people who are presenting. So even as a new, that's why I find the business extremely easy, because as a new distributor, all you have to do is to avail and contact. And even if you can contact your upline, the person that you are working with closely, who you need to find actually, the person you're working with closely actually assists you to invite these people over, and by showing you exactly how we go through that process of the phone call, how we contact the people so that we can actually create an appointment with them. Yeah, but the fact that you already have people that trust and find you credible within your phone book, your life, all you have to do is to create a meeting, is to create an appointment, a 30 minutes appointment, a meeting that is going to help us pass on that information. Yeah. The presenter, who is usually an upline, their role is to show the distributor's prospect what then we have to offer as Neolife. Okay. And just think about it. This prospect will not listen to the presenter unless the distributor is there, unless the distributor is someone that has that is trusted and credible. All right. So that's very key. And it's important for us to understand this approach. Okay. This approach is going to take us very far. It has taken us very far already. And we just need to insist and persist on using it continuously on a daily basis in order for us to get results. So before the presentation, before the one-on-one, what happens? What happens? You brief your upline about the prospect. It's very important that the person going to present your prospect understands who your prospect is, and not just telling them the name, but giving them a little bit of background information. This is the person, this is their profession, where do they come from? Sometimes that is very necessary. Their marital status. I mean, you just take them through relevant information that you think you can actually give the distributor, sorry, the presenter, the upline, that they can rely on to create a relationship with the prospect. Okay, so sometimes when someone tells me they're an economist, they're a teacher, I can easily create a rapport with them, yeah, because I grew up in a family where I've seen an economist. If someone talks about farming, I'm very eager to find out what do they farm, you know, because again, I grew up in a family where farming was key. Then, if someone talks about what law engineer, so you just have to make sure that you find a connecting point. It could be where you come from. It could be a person you know in that place, you know, that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's important that as a distributor who has invited the prospect, please brief the presenter, your upline, about the prospect. I hope that is clear. Then, when you are now arriving and you have settled down, so the prospect has come, and we have also come, the presenter is there, the distributor is there, now your prospect has come. It's important that as the distributor who has invited the prospect, you initiate the conversation. Sometimes I've sat in a one-on-one, 3 people, and the distributor is looking at me to start the conversation. I'm thinking, no, it is you who brought us together. You need to start the conversation. So you welcome us, and then you introduce the prospect first. That's maybe like, Andrew, this is so-and-so. This is, I've known him for this long. This is how we met. This is what he does. Okay. And that's why it's also important that you cannot, these one-on-ones cannot really thrive when you're meeting strangers and wanting to do one-on-ones with them almost immediately, because then you will not be able to introduce the prospect effectively, and you'll have no relationship as such. But I'm not discouraging you from doing the one-on-ones with people of that nature. You never know what would come out of this. Sometimes you've just met in a taxi or at a workplace or at a work meeting or at a wedding, and you really don't know much about the prospect. But in that meeting, strive to see that you at least get information about your prospect and then introduce them properly. introduce them with, just used to give it a very nice name. You lift them up. You introduce them with a lot of appreciation, a lot of I'm looking for the word, it has gone, but you have to to appreciate them in a way that they feel good, they feel appreciated as you're introducing them. Then after that, the distributor introduces the presenter. Let me see if I've put in the word. Someone might have posted the word. You edify. Okay, thank you, Joyce. Thank you very much. Yeah, you edify. Then after that, the distributor introduces the presenter as a business partner or colleague. You see, introducing the presenter as a PT, as a world team member, as a director, doesn't make much sense to the prospect, because the prospect does not know those titles. The terminologies that you use while introducing the presenter or your upline do not make sense to the prospect. Just simply introduce them as a business partner or a colleague with whom you are doing business with. Okay? Then the distributor shares that part of the story of how they met the opportunity or how they met the presenter. You know, how you came to be in love with Neolife, how you came to appreciate Neolife. That's all we want you to share, because we are going to talk about Neolife. This prospect needs to understand, how did you come to meet Neolife? Okay. And that's part of the story is very key. You know, a few years back or a few months ago, I was struggling with ABCD. Then a colleague of mine with whom I studied with or with whom I work with invited me to come and look at a set of a product that was going to solve my solution, you know, and I was able to use it. I found it very helpful, and I thought I could actually be able to help other people. And these people have a number of things to offer. They have a number of solutions to offer. I thought about you and realized that perhaps you might be interested in any of the solutions, just for you to know. And it won't take long, about 30 minutes. That is an introduction. That's like sharing part of the story of how you met Neolife, of how you met the opportunity. That is very key. That is very important, because it connects us to the presentation that we are here to do. All right. Then that is the role the distributor plays. Your role is to connect us. The distributor, the person who has invited the prospect, you are the most important person in that combination. You're the one that the prospect trusts and finds credible. If you don't play your role effectively, the prospect will get lost along the way, because the prospect has never met the presenter. They don't know the presenter. Even if the presenter is so good, but they cannot relate with them, there's no trust and credibility that has been built between the two of them. It's difficult. And it is you, the distributor, who builds that trust and credibility. Okay. Oh, I've already said this. So what does the distributor share? What motivated you to look at Neolife opportunity? Was it a product you used? Was it a situation you were faced with at that point in life? Was it a certain fear or loss or urge to achieve something in the future? You know, all these are things that you can have, you can converse and be able to share in your introduction. So basically, say something about your circumstances before starting the opportunity, what motivated you to start, then tell your prospect that a more experienced person, your colleague, don't use the word upline, your colleague will share the rest of the details. And then you pass it on to the upline, the presenter. Now, the presenter may either be an upline, or they may just be somewhere along the way that is more experienced than you that has offered to help you present to the person. Okay, now when the presenter starts, they also identify with the guest. They share a bit of their story. Um, your name, how did you come to, where did you come from, your profession. You make a good connection. These are some of the things we were talking about last week in as far as your story is concerned. That's why the skill of sharing your story is a very important skill in Neolife. Extremely important, because everybody, it is your story that creates the relationship with the person that you're trying to engage with, to see that they begin to use our products or they actually become a part of the business. That's why it's important for us as distributors to learn how to share our stories. It's a skill you learn. It's not something that is natural. Okay, maybe natural for a number of ladies, but it's something that you learn along the way. Okay, then you talk about before Neolife. This is all during the time when now the presenter is talking. You're giving a little bit of your background. You're taking them through how you came to be part of Neolife, and that is how I usually start. Then I am going to get onto the presentation chart, and I'll now begin to introduce the company. Yeah, because when you now talk about how you came across Neolife, and then now you say, this is what Neolife is. Neolife has been around for the last 65 years. These are their values. They have been to so many countries, and these countries range from this continent to that continent. I mean, that whole information comes into play at that point. And then you talk about the product ranges. Like any business, every business has a set of products that it relies on to do business. Okay, and I just want to take you through these product ranges. It won't take long. It could be like about 10 minutes, but we need you to appreciate the product ranges in order for us to discuss more about the business. So you take the person through the home care range of products. You use that page. You talk about the super grow. That's important. Super grow became such an important thing because in Africa, at least I've noticed here in Uganda, at least 70% of the people you meet have some connection to farming. So it would be a disadvantage to you to talk about Neolife and not talk about Supergrow. Okay, so that's why it's always important for us. Even if someone is not a farmer, they may know another farmer. Just tell them what the product does, how it conserves water in the soil, and how it helps to other pesticides and herbicides to work effectively in the plant. Then talk about nutrients. So sometimes when I'm talking to men, you could tell by their facial reaction that this is an area they don't want to know much about. So it's acceptable. It's very acceptable for you to skip or to just say one or two things about nutrients and then move on to the next stage. Pro-vitality story then comes into play. Okay. Now the first three things are really the way that arrangement has been done is that if you meet people who have been bombarded with all these companies that talk about supplements and everything, when you start with home care, you talk about super growth, you talk about, by the time you get to pro-vitality, the pro-vitality story, the person's mind is less negative. It's more receptive to information, and they're thinking, yeah, you guys are different. You guys are not like all these other fellows in the market. And then when you go through the pro-vitality story, the way you present it, the fact that we have to go through, maybe I'll present the pro-vitality story next time now. The fact that you have to go through the Vibrant, the Tired, and 6-on, that graph makes so much sense. Then the things that determine our health, the good health, it requires enough rest, exercise, and diet. And then you go ahead, you show the pyramids, how you're supposed to be eating, and how we have changed that all the way around. And then you bring in the solution, pro-vitality. That's why it's important for you to have your mixing bottles with you, especially if you have a mixing bottle that has LDC and one that has care. You have your D1 laundry, small sample with you. It could also be good to have a small 250 mils super grow packs kind of thing. It is also good for you to have a Pro Vitality sachet, because as you demonstrate, as you talk about those products, you're demonstrating, you're showing the person, they're able to touch and feel the product that you're talking about. And if you have your cooking oil, you're in a very convenient place, you could also go ahead and demonstrate the product. Okay, so you share your product testimony first. Then you can go ahead and talk about the product testimonies that are available. Sometimes you might have a product testimony on your phone. If someone has found themselves interested in Supergrow, you might want to show them some of the pictures of people that have been able to use the Supergrow. But other than that, I mean, we have the testimony with Margaret and then Moses, and then, but your personal product testimony is very key. And I think for me, this is what I found also. A lot of people won't believe all those product testimonies, but they will believe the distributor's product testimony, because the distributor is the one that holds the trust and credibility in this presentation, in this meeting. If the distributor has not used any products, it becomes difficult for us to convince the prospect to use the products. That's why as we go out to talk to people, as distributors, we need to make sure we have used the products, because people will only use the products because you have used them. That's why they will use them. They will use, because you have used them, they will use them. Okay? It doesn't matter whether your upline is a medic or has been in the business for what, 50 years. If you, the distributor, you have not used the products, because it is your story that is going to convince and that is going to persuade the prospect to use the products. Okay. And usually when I get there, I really turn back to the distributor and I tell you, you go ahead and share with him or her what products you've used, because I want that connection to happen so that this distributor's prospect appreciates the products based on the fact that the person that they trust and they find credible has been able to testify about that. Okay, so the distributor can or should share their product testimony as well. Search for a product need, yes, that's very important. So as you're talking to the prospect, you are actually searching for a product need. Sometimes the prospect will mention something like, oh, I like that. I find that interesting. As the distributor, please take note. It is not the presenter, it is not your upline to take note of those situations, because you are going to do the follow-up. Your upline has come in to present on your behalf. He cannot also go ahead and do the follow-up and then get this person to give them the price list and all these things. No, please do your role and make sure you're writing all the areas of interest that the prospect seems to have or seems to show us when we are presenting. This takes about 15 minutes. Then in conclusion, usually, as that's what I will always say. Once I'm done with the products, I'll say, in conclusion, I want to share with you my business story and perhaps see how best you too can consider this as a possible source of income. We need income, additional income. Everybody needs additional income. And maybe if you already have some additional income from some other place other than your job, you could also consider this as part of that source of additional income. Those are words I would use to try and get the prospect to look at this as a business. So I go through, how does one become a distributor? Now that you've seen the products, when I became a distributor, I signed this form. I'll take out the form and show the prospect the form that we sign, and I'll tell them, for you to have this form signed to become a distributor, so that you can afford to get the products from the company directly, or that you can be able to become a business owner with us, you pay so much money. And I'll mention the money that we pay in Uganda shillings, 273,000. Now, I think in Kenya it's 10,000. In TZ it should be 160,000, 160,000. So in South Africa, I'm not sure, doctor says I should put it there actually, and we see how much a distributor pays in South Africa when they start provide IT kit. Yeah. Then I go ahead and I begin to share with them what they are going to do, but I do it as though I am also sharing my story. So what had then happened when I started, I was required to use the products. So you'll also be required to use the products when you get started, because it is after you've used the products that you appreciate the kind of of business you've gotten yourself involved in. Then I'll go ahead and share the product experience. When you share the product experience, you are going to make profit. Now, profit is a key word because that is a source of income. And the prospect needs to understand that when you go out there and you share the product, you actually make a profit. But you need to help them understand that it's not hawking the products. It is not going door to door. It is sharing the product experience to the people you already know, like how your friend here, the distributor, has been able to invite you and you've been able to see. Then when you share the business experience where you tell people about how this business works and you are linked up directly to the company, we then do not make profit out of meeting you and distributing the products to you. We are able to make a commission. The company gives a distributor a commission for linking up people that are going to use the products to the company. And really the emphasis is always on the fact that we do not get people started just for just. We get people started so that they can use the products. We get paid for getting people to use the products. Then we talk about the training. At that point, I'll tell the guest about the fact that we have a 6 a.m. group that caters for that. The trainings are online and they do not have to come through physically, but once in a while we have physical trainings. Then I'll talk about the benefits. I'll talk about the income. And that's where now I pull out. If you are presenting, please have some proof of these benefits. If you've traveled and you happen to have been in a certain magazine, bring it out. If you have pictures of you being to Dar es Salaam, get them out, okay? If you have, you must have proof of your pay advice slip that they put on your back office, especially even if you've earned your first check and it was not that big, just show that, because the person needs proof that actually this company pays and this is how it pays, okay? You've already given them proof of how the products have helped you. You need proof of travel, and so on and so forth. And then finally, you also sell the future to the prospect. How do you see the future? Because one of the things we sell in Neolife is actually hope. Let me just see the time. Okay, just 1 more minute. Now, ladies and gentlemen, okay, thank you very much, Dr. Iseza. The Pro Vitality Kit is 1,070 rands. Thank you very much. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that is how then you end off the bid. Then you ask for questions, okay? One-on-ones are not the same with every prospect. Some prospects will keep on interrupting you as you're talking. Other prospects are very well cultured. They'll listen to you and then ask questions after. But it's very important that in this one-on-one, you handle the objections. You need to learn how to handle the objections. And as a distributor, that's another point for you to learn. When you have a presenter and they're presenting, please listen to how they handle the objections. Take note that when the prospect says the products are very expensive, what does your upline, the presenter, respond to that? It's important for you to appreciate that. Not all prospects will be good listeners. That's very true. And some prospects will just keep on interrupting. And you just need to learn and be patient as you work with that. Okay. Then you also need to keep it 30 minutes. Okay. If you stretch, let you stretch because of the prospect asking you questions, but by 30 minutes, you must have done your part and you must be through with your part. Okay. You must be through with your part. So that's very, very important. Ladies and gentlemen, that is basically it about a one-on-one. My prayer is that I have explained it in the simplest of ways. This is our gateway to becoming financially free. If you did this every single day, I will guarantee you within 6 months, you'll have a business that is at least bringing in $500 additional income every single month. Yeah. If you went out and you had a 30-minute session with someone every single day, and you picked an upline or a presenter with whom you can work with, these things are for teamwork, working 2-2, working 2-2, working 2-2. And you know what is very interesting? That upline, that presenter does not have to be a PT. I also want to make that very clear. They don't have to be a world team member. They just have to be someone that can be able to pass on this message to the other prospect, because the other prospect knows you so well as a distributor. So you want someone that they're going to listen to, and they're going to be able to appreciate. But oftentimes our directors are skilled enough to pass on this information. Okay. And then it is out of that meeting that now you invite the prospect for the Sunday Zoom or the Imperial or wherever the company is going to meet, at a hotel or something, whether it's up country, all those meetings. So if they're coming to Mayuge, the company is coming to Iganga, it's going to Mbarara. That's when now you invite, after the meeting, you invite the prospect to the bigger picture. But this one-on-one is the primary one. And thank you very much, Emarake. Let's keep on practicing. You get better and you get perfect as you keep on talking about and doing the one-on-ones. And with time, if you discipline yourself and you're consistent in meeting one person every single day, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, it's a guarantee. A guarantee means I am sure, and I'm beyond sure, that you do this for a minimum of 5 months, meeting someone every single day, Monday to Saturday, you are guaranteed to have an income of at least $500 coming in every single month. I have no doubt about that. I have seen people earning that, and it is also possible for you. So with that said, I'd like to